Everything runs through
TechNTortillas.
Everything runs through
TechNTortillas.
Good afternoon and welcome to Tortilla Talk. I'm your host, Dylan, and with me today is Troy. Troy, how are we doing?
Dylan, I'm doing awesome. It's been a great week, getting ready for Christmas. As ready as I can be. How are you doing, man?
I mean, I'm fantastic. Some football getting us ready for these playoff games coming up soon too. Texas Tech in the transfer portal has been amazing. So there's a lot of positives going on right now. And then, like you said, the holidays coming up, so Christmas right around the corner. Can't get better than that, right?
Yeah, I mean, it already feels like Christmas kind of passed with all the portal additions. I was telling Dallas that it just feels like we've been in a dream where you say, like, yeah, we're going to get all these guys. And then now all these guys play on our football team. And so they came, they saw, and they conquered.
Yeah, it's almost, I don't know what to do with my hands at this moment. It's just, we actually got all the guys. So we'll see. It's exciting. Now we're just going to be looking forward, obviously, to seeing them on the field, but we're going to have to wait a long time for that. But Christmas, like we said, is around the corner, that means bowl season, in my opinion. I know a lot of people like Christmas. I love bowls, though. But with that, we have our little bowl competition going on right now. So, me and Troy hopping on here to talk about some games, hopefully to help you guys win a $100 gift card. Or maybe you guys decide to fade us thinking that's smart and you could come in last and get a Micah Hudson football. I don't know, whatever you're into, right, Troy?
Yeah, and I just wanted to share the standings. There's obviously there's a few more people underneath that. I want to show the first place participants right now. We got a couple of people from TechNTortillas that are doing pretty well, but it looks like there are a bunch of people that are doing pretty well. So kudos to this group right here, our first place participants right now.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely a good place to be. I'm not going to lie, started 0-2, but I bounced back, won the last three. So, and I'm watching Sam Houston State win right now. They're up 21-10. So hopefully they can hold on and, make me feel even better.
You got Sam Houston in this one?
Oh, I got Sam Houston State. Yep. Yes, sir.
They ended up being the underdog in it too, right?
Oh, yeah. But all right, Troy, we'll go ahead and jump into the first game. We got Ohio playing Jacksonville State. Jacksonville State currently is giving 4.5, and the over-under is 56.5. Troy, what are your thoughts on this game?
So Jacksonville State has quite a bit of people in the transfer portal, whereas Ohio has absolutely zero. And so Ohio's favored for a reason. I just think, and Jacksonville State lost their coach too, so not to mention Richmond going to West Virginia, so that's also going to be interesting as well. Don't want to leave him out, but I just think with some of the experience that Jacksonville State's losing, choosing it outright, definitely for the bowl pick'em, I'm taking Ohio in this one, and I would probably even consider taking Ohio with the 4.5 as well.
Yeah, I mean, Rich Rod's done great things at that program. I mean, to get them to where they have been, I guess where they are, is pretty awesome. But he's gone. A lot of people are going to leave. And as we know, back the MAC in bowl games. The MAC shows up in bowl games. So I'm going to take Ohio. And to your point, I'm going to back them on the spread as well. I think they cover this number with relative ease. So I think Ohio can really take care of business against a depleted Jacksonville State team. We'll go ahead, Troy, move on to the next one. Florida and Tulane play each other. I mean, Florida, wow. Jekyll and Hyde from the beginning of the season to the end of the year, which is, good for them that they finished strong. But, man, you thought Napier would have lost his job the way it was going, but some really strong play at the end of the year have people really excited for next year. I guess the graphics department's not working too well right now.
Sorry, the graphics department's reading.
So, yeah, we got Florida favored by 10.5 with an over-under 49.5. Graphics department. How do you feel about this one?
Yeah, let me just say I miss Derek Edgar being on the sidelines. Yeah, how I feel about this one is, obviously Tulane, I bet you they feel a little bit disrespected. Florida's favored by double digits, and John Summerall is probably one of the hottest names in coaching right now. So, I mean, he's not going to take that lightly. The thing is, for me, I really like DJ Lagway. I think that guy's an absolute stud. I'd probably put a future on him to win the Heisman next year. And I might even put a future on Florida to kind of sneak up on some people. And I guess they're my dark horse without knowing much information. So pretty hot take there, I guess, especially where they finished the year. But they got hot towards the end of it. That being said, Tulane has some pretty important pieces in the transfer portal, and that being their starting quarterback and one of their starting defensive ends. And even their backup quarterback is in the transfer portal. So, John Summerall is a heck of a coach. But that's a lot to overcome. Whereas Florida is pretty injured, and they've also lost a decent amount of some of the defensive line and their ends that they've had. And so really, I think when you start thinking about the talent a team has behind their starters, Florida probably has a little more of it. So to take them outright, obviously, I am considering if I had to take something in this one, I'd probably take the over. Although I'd be really nervous because I don't know how Tulane will score, but I do expect DJ Lagway to just throw up a bunch of points in this one. So that's how I'm feeling about that one.
Yeah, I mean, to your point, a lot of moving pieces with Mensa for Tulane. He's gone. He's already signed. He's not playing in this game. And yes, their backup, what is it, Ty Thompson or something like that? He'll play. He's in the transfer portal, but he's gonna be the one playing. I just think, to your point, a program like Florida is going to be able to kind of backfill some positions a little bit better than a program like Tulane. And then we talked about how Florida had a very strong finish to the year. Well, what happened from the beginning of the year to the end of the year? Lagway got healthy. So Lagway is obviously the key piece here. And I like what you say about him winning the Heisman because I think there's too much talent on Texas Tech for one person to win the Heisman. So he'll definitely feed off the fact that a lot of our players are going to, be stealing each other's stats and things like that. So Lagway's probably not a bad dark horse future Heisman contender, Troy. He really seems like someone who's balling out and has this program going in the right direction and, quite frankly, is keeping Napier employed. I'll go ahead and take Florida, and I'll take Florida to cover 10.5 as well.
Wow. Yeah, I could definitely see them getting to double digits, and I think it's funny you bring up the coach too, just like it's his lifeline. So I put my money on him to be my lifeline too.
Yeah. Oh yeah. But all right, we'll go ahead and move on, Troy. You know what's big about this next game? This is a game that can decide the fate of our playoffs, Troy. We got Notre Dame, a little darling, if you will, for a lot of people in their brackets, against the biggest darling of them all, Indiana. Unfortunately for Indiana has to go to Notre Dame, which Notre Dame's laying 7 with an over-under 52.5. Troy, can Signetti and the boys hang around in this game?
It's going to be an interesting one. I definitely think they can. I don't think a lot of people think they will. But Notre Dame's missing some key pieces. While it's not transfer portal related, their running back is out and their defensive tackle's out. They're expected to play. I'm sorry. They're really just missing their linebacker. So they're actually closer to healthy than they were. Indiana's not missing many pieces either. So relatively healthy lineups considering. We all know that outside of the one game that Notre Dame lost, they've played really well, and it hasn't been too concerning. They've had some close games, but they've always kind of pulled through. So, whereas the Hoosiers, on the other hand, when they've played tougher competition, You've definitely seen them struggle a little bit more with one of the most notable ones with the double-digit loss to Ohio State, which this Notre Dame team is probably pretty closer to Ohio State. And so that would concern me. I think with the line being at 7, I would take Indiana to cover that. I just think Cignetti feels more than just a darling. He just feels like disrespected. And I think he's a really good coach, and I think he'll pull out, anything and everything to stay in this game. I wouldn't be surprised if they get a backdoor cover by any means. A little curious about the weather. It's 27 degrees. I don't see any snow, but that could definitely change over the next few days. Or tomorrow.
Yeah. I mean, I think there's an array of outcomes that could occur. I think Indiana could win this game. Notre Dame could win by 50. I think the most common one that probably happens is Notre Dame wins in a blowout. I am hoping we have a Notre Dame versus Northern Illinois kind of moment where they just slip up. I mean, I really want to see this Indiana thing continue. But there's a lot of talent on this Notre Dame team, and this just feels like their year. I'm sure they'll slip up at some point. I'll take Notre Dame. It's the safe pick. Honestly, I'll probably have them cover the spread as well. By the time the game comes around, I might convince myself to take the underdog, but it just feels like Notre Dame could win this one big. Hopefully that's enough disrespect for Cignetti to get the boys going. Like he's been known to do. Just Google him.
Just Google him. One thing, too, I don't have the stat off the top of my head, but at looking at all the scores that both of these teams have played in, they've got to be two of the top teams that have the most double-digit wins against opponents. I think just outside of 2 games or 1 game for each of them was a single-digit game. And obviously, Indiana lost one of those, but outside of that, they handled business. And the banter between the two coaches has been pretty funny as well. So if anything, you got to appreciate that that aspect of it. I guess too, I probably look at the over just because of what you said too. I do think there is potential for a blowout. I think I'm just with my heart. I don't want there to be one, and I do want to see Cinderella walk through that door. And so I think if I had to really put something down on it, I'd probably take the over in this one. Well, yes, Notre Dame could probably hold them to some points. I also think Notre Dame could probably score some points on them. And they both can score in bunches. So I'd like my chances with the over 52.
Yeah, it feels right. This definitely feels like an over game. I agree. Even if Indiana gets blown out, I still think they can put up enough points to get to that number. All right, we'll move on to the next game. I'm assuming you went in chronological order. You did. Awesome. So we got SMU going to Penn State. Penn State favored by 8.5 with an over-under of 54. Troy, SMU, can they hang going to Happy Valley?
I think we just had a guest enter the chat.
Who's in here? Let him in.
From the top ropes.
They call me Nicky Portal Boy Dementia, and I'm here to tell you the Red Raiders are making moves. We're whining and dining.
Yeah, we've talked about that already, but it's always good to talk about it again.
I didn't know what this. Hang on, let me rotate my screen here.
Yeah,
I didn't know what this little, what are we calling these things, podcast was about.
Yeah,
so I just wanted to jump on and see what the boys were doing.
Yeah, we talked about the portal just a little bit, but now we're picking games and talking about the bowl pick, in which, Nick, you're one of the guys in first place right now.
Yeah, 5-0, baby. How am I looking at the game tonight? Oh, I saw we were down 7-0.
Listen, I didn't look at all the picks. I just saw you were 5-0.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Hey, give me Penn State in this one. I can't stand SMU, and I hate that they think they're good. Give me Penn State minus 8.5, huh?
Dang, minus 8.5, and obviously you're choosing them to win outright as well, money line for the bowl pick. It sounds like.
Yes.
Dylan, what was your original question?
Who you got, Troy?
I think Penn State's going to be a little bit too much. There's really not many impacts. It's just the backup quarterbacks for this one, so they're not really going to impact the game too much. I do know that there were some sets where they brought them in to run a little bit, so that changes it up a little bit where you don't have to concern yourself with the run game as much in the Penn State side of the you're not as concerned without their backup. But obviously, they're still a very talented team. If I had to pick a team to win this one, money line, Penn State. I do think SMU covers, though, the 8.5.
Oh. Yeah, I think this falls into the same thing I said about the last game. I would like to see Cinderella maybe keep it close, but this feels like Penn State just dominates them. At home, they'll be playing. I mean, you've played college football, Nick. They'll just be the college football video game. There'll be Mo Bamba playing on repeat.
Yep, all the white shirts. Very happy Valley.
Exactly. It will
Troy,
be a very hard place to
Troy,
play.
we know you don't know about this. It's a hard stadium to play at. Dylan and I have coached there.
Yeah.
I took Bowling Green into that house and couldn't get the win. And I quit multiple times.
But yeah, I think Penn State will take care of this. They'll cover the number as well. I think they'll win pretty big in this game.
Yeah, something that's interesting from their last couple games, or the last game of the season for each of them, they both took a loss, right? And so it'll be really interesting to see how they both bounce back. I think that loss definitely woke up SMU because they almost got kicked out of the entire playoffs. If they would have gotten blown out of that game, it would have been real easy to leave them out of the playoffs. So I think that was a giant wake-up call for them. So I expect them not to come out of the gates this as slow this time.
Well, to be fair, Troy, they made it in. So I mean,
hey, they're here.
I don't think there's like a wake-up call to that.
It was a strong finish to that last game.
That it was.
All right. Well, we'll move on to the next game.
Let me ask you fellas something. Are you guys nervous that, like, eventually the portal closes? And what are we gonna do? Because like this is all I've lived for the last like 8 days. I find myself telling people that don't care at all about how good Tech's doing in the portal.
Yeah, I've done that at work.
People that don't even know like what the portal is, or like don't even watch like college football. They're like, "What are you talking about?" I'm like, guys, it's big time.
Yeah.
I keep telling my wife about how much Oklahoma sucks, and we stuff them in lockers now.
We're stuffing her dad in lockers now.
Yeah, I just wanted to see what you guys were going to do because I might have a really bad come down.
Well, we've already said it in our messages. Like this is the scariest thing ever because now, like, if we don't win, I don't know what's going to happen.
I don't even want to think about that, dude. I don't even want to. Let's move on. Let's pick the game.
Now I'm just scared.
At 11.5. Our over-under at 11.5, I have it at.
With wins?
Yeah.
I have our over-under at 12.5, meaning we got to go to the championship.
Yeah, I think that's fair.
And then win.
I have our over under 11.5 like Troy for regular season games where we win by double digits.
That feels about right. I mean, for God's sakes, we have the Big 12 All-Star team.
Yeah.
Yeah. More than just the Big 12.
Well, so you know the biggest problem? There's only one ball.
Yeah.
No, I know people talking about that, and I have been concerned. But you know,
there's only so many tackles that can be had. There's only so many interceptions to be made. You know.
Well, to be fair, Dylan, you can get a group tackle.
Group sacks too. You can share a
group
sack.
Sacks. You can get a half a sack.
Yep, half a sack. Double meat, double cheese. Sack of meat.
Sack of meat.
Sack of meat. You can do that.
That's what they're going to be calling us.
The sacks of meat.
All right, Clemson goes to Texas for this next playoff game. Big one here. Texas.
Wait, can I tell you one more thing? Can I tell you one more thing? I was reading the ticker on the bottom, and I see how like for the name of the bowl game you put the actual name, right? So it's like sponsored. For a second, I'm like, did we get sponsored by Union Pacific Railroad or whatever the hell it was?
Yes, we did.
Working on the night shift.
I was like, man, this is a big deal. Presented by Allstate.
We're
We
This is
made it.
TechNTortillas brought to you by Tax Slayer.
Did you forget to
Tax
do your
Slayer.
taxes?
If it's tax season, you're slaying. All right. Enough.
All right.
Enough.
All right.
Giggles.
Clemson at Texas. Texas favored by 12 over under 51.5. Troy, who do you start? Arch or Quinn?
I think you start Arch, but I think with that, the game's going to be a lot closer. And I also think Clemson is God's team. Dabo Sweeney. You ever heard of him? So I think just with that, it may not be enough to win, but it's enough to cover. Damn it!
Yeah. No, I guess if you say so. So what? That means you're taking Texas with Clemson covering?
Yeah, I think it's just enough. I mentioned the wake up call that Nick didn't appreciate in the last game, but I think Texas gets a wake up call, and I think they could have to consider starting Arch Manning for the next game in this one.
I just think
Clemson
it's
makes
funny
it
to
close.
think that they're awake now. Like, no. Everyone's awake. It's the playoffs.
That's what they
Playoffs?
like to think.
Hey, Nick, I'll throw it to you. If you have two quarterbacks, how many do you have?
0.
Oh, God. Who you got in this one?
Is there a I didn't know. Is that on my screen? What is that? It's a glare. Is there? It's a UFO. You see it on my screen? It's
Yeah.
what's it called? What are the drones?
No, that's an aspiration.
The drones in New Jersey. It's on my forehead.
They've made some explore.
Yeah. Anywho, we had to shut him up. Is there some competition right now between Arch and Ewers?
No,
Or
we
is
just
that
ask
you just
that.
being funny?
They just ask that all the time.
Yeah.
I think that's a conversation.
Clemson's a weird team this year. They've had some high highs and some low lows. So I just UT. I don't. To be honest, I think UT's offense isn't great. They don't ever seem to. I mean, at the beginning of the year, they were scoring a lot of points, but once they got into conference play and started playing better teams, they seem to not put up points like they used to. However, their defense is legit, and I think they're going to win. I think they're going to be able to hold Clemson to a smaller amount of points than they're going to score. So we'll see what happens. But I'll pick Texas. I'll pick Clemson to cover, though. I'll pick Clemson plus 12. But Texas is going to win, unfortunately. And I think under 51.5.
Yeah, Texas will win this game. Under is probably not a bad play. I wonder if Clemson scores double digits in this game. Texas is going to shut down Clemson. I'll take Texas to win. I'll take them to cover the 12. It won't be close.
Oh, you don't even? Okay. No.
Something that would be interesting too is it makes me think of would the two quarterbacks if not Quinn, but if Manning was to come in, it's not totally different style, but the dual threat nature of Manning is a lot different than what Ewers offers, especially with that hurt ankle. It kind of reminds me of when A&M had Marcel Reed come in against South Carolina. I do think Dabo's going to prepare the team for both of those types of situations. But yeah, there's a lot on that UT defense to be concerned with.
Yeah, Troy, I completely agree. It reminds me of when Bobby Boucher came back at halftime and led the Mud Dogs to the Bourbon Bowl. Same type of thing we're talking about. So I couldn't agree more with what you're saying. But I will say, I feel like if UT, I feel like they're doing Quinn a solid, but like I think they would be better with Arch playing. Like I think they would score more points. I don't know if you guys get that feeling.
I don't know. It reminds me of that time when Happy hit that putt through all the wreckage on the golf course when no one believed he could even make it. You just got played as it lies. And he did.
You know what it reminds me of? It reminds me of that time when Billy Madison went in and had to get the final test answer right versus the New Orleans, whatever they call them, and he did. It's pretty
It
impressive.
kind of reminds me of the time when QB Halloween had to give that speech in front of all those kids, and he accidentally showed up in pee-soaked sheets.
And
Makes
some
you
say
wonder.
that wasn't an accident.
It was a statement.
The initial stain or showing up in the stain.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Hopefully
fair.
they have their thermostat.
What other Adam Sandler movies we got?
I think we went through a decent amount.
Some say it was in the movie Click when he's in the rain and he falls and he's dying and it's really sad.
Yeah, with that.
What about the movie Spanglish? What about the movie Uncut Gems? All right, moving on.
All right, guys. We've gone way too far in the deep end on this one. Even Scuba Steve couldn't get us out of there. So we'll go ahead and move on to Tennessee at Ohio State. Ohio State favored by 7.5 over under 46.5. Nick, can Ohio State bounce back after Michigan emasculated them?
Dylan, that's a great question, man. I mean, I think it was a wake-up call. I think them losing that game was a big wake-up call to them, and I think they're going to come out ready. Troy, acknowledge me.
Yeah, I agree.
Are you proud of him, Troy?
Yeah, no kidding. Man, this is a tough one. I think Tennessee's going to cover 7.5. I can still see Ohio. I think Ohio State's going to win, but Tennessee's going to hang in there.
Troy, is there a little bit of quit in this Ohio State team if things get tough?
No, I think Ohio State mad.
Oh, God.
Ohio State angry.
Oh, God.
Ryan Day
What?
mad.
Why? Because they just lost out on a running back?
They did.
Just lost out on a running back to Texas Tech. No, Nick, I completely agree. Michigan was a wake-up call. They got that out of the way. I think Tennessee.
Good
They're
analysis,
awake now.
Nick. Good analysis, Nick.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I've been saying it, guys. You can wake up before the playoffs.
So you know what I always say? I've always said, wake me up before September ends.
That's true. I've said, yep. I've heard you say that.
Go ahead, Troy.
Nico's a young quarterback. He's going to struggle in this one. Ryan Day just took his spanked, and so I think he needs to bounce back.
Some people got to pay for that.
What's that?
Said some people have to pay for that.
He didn't, but he got it spanked. He's coaching for his job at this point, and so he needs to win. He needs to win the next one, and I think this is just another footnote in the SEC.
Troy, can I ask you something?
The SEC.
Are you worried? Are you worried? Are you worried that he might be already thinking about the next one?
No, honestly, I'm not.
Because you brought it up.
I'm thinking about the next one, but I've never been called Ryan Day before.
I used to call you that back in high school?
Yeah, before we knew
I used
him.
to say, hey, there's Troy Ryan Day dementia. Remember?
Yeah, I do remember that now that you say it. But give me Ohio State. Give me Ohio State to cover. I'm going to keep an eye on it. If it gets to 7, I'll hammer it.
Man. Idle or bust. This guy. If they don't
I never
win,
knew someone to be so scared of 0.5.
It's a football number.
Guys, this guy could get fired if he doesn't win a title. How crazy is that?
Well, then that would mean he would need to win the next one and the next one.
Mm-hmm.
And one more.
I know. I want
Troy,
to
what are your
Tennessee.
Thoughts? Hey,
I hate Tennessee.
I'm looking at this ESPN article and it says, "Is Ryan Day's job on the line?"
No, it legitimately might be. You can't keep losing to Michigan. You just can't. That being said, they'll take care of Tennessee. I don't like Tennessee. I'm always going to choose against them. I'll take Ohio State minus 7.5. They'll win the game. Surely they'll get things right. They're supposed to be one of the best teams this year. They'll have to play like it at some point. Some point. Who knows? Or Tennessee wins this game, and then we get to hear the most annoying fan base of them all start to wake up and get crazy, just like Troy said. Wake them up.
We didn't wake up.
Is what's his name playing in this game, Dylan? The guy that shoots the threes for Tennessee.
Yeah, Steph Curry.
No, with a V.
Oh God, I don't know that guy's name. I can never say it.
You know what I'm talking
But
about.
yes, he is playing. All right. Well, thank you guys for tuning in. Hopefully, we gave you some good insight for these playoff games. Hopefully, you guys feel like, hopefully you guys feel like you can put together your picks in these bowl pick'ems to try to beat Nick in his 5-0 record, so you can get yourself $100. Or maybe you want a Micah Hudson football, so you're gonna go against us and seal your fate that way. I want everyone to know they're losing to someone like me right now. There you go.
Dylan, while we're live, can you check the score of the Georgia Southern game?
Oh, they were down 21-10. I don't know what it is right now.
It's 21-10. Georgia Southern has the ball on second and goal on the 1 yard line.
There we go. How much time left?
7 minutes and 38 seconds.
In the fourth?
Third.
Oh, so we got plenty of time. All right. Hey, this was a good one, fellas. I'm glad I hopped on,
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's always good to talk football with the boys, isn't it?
That's right.
It does feel good talking football with said boys. When are we doing a tech recap? Are we picking tech game or?
Oh, later. That game's not for. Don't worry, we got time.
Okay.
We'll be back.
I know, 27th. All right, boys.
So, as always, guys, thank you for watching. You can follow us on all social medias at TechNTortillas. That's TechNTortillas. Please like and subscribe. Comment on the video. Show Troy some respect for the work he's been doing on YouTube. Please.
For the love of God, please. He's earned it, and when you don't, he takes it out on us.
Yeah, please. We like when Troy's happy, all right? So, guys, thank you, and as always, rack 'em.
Find out. Everything runs through TechNTortillas. Everything runs through TechNTortillas.